Hi, my name is Maya, author of Fit and Fabulous Over 40 and the creator of the 3X Fit 90-Day Transformation from MayaMFitness.com. And in this video, you'll learn 41 lies everyone over 40 tells. Now, let's get into it. Sorry I'm late, I was partying so hard last night. Fact. We're all liars. As human beings, we lie so routinely that we don't even realize we're lying. Whether it's establishing a story, delivering a false compliment with a straight face, or texting someone that you're 5 minutes away, when the reality is you're not even in the same zip code. When you turn 40, you find your lies start to evolve and take on new meaning. After all, every lie, deep down, has a purpose, whether it's to influence someone else's opinion or help you get out of a jam. Once you've crossed the threshold into your 5th decade, your priorities change, and so do the lies. So try and catch yourself in the act. I'm getting too old for this. It's one thing to say this with a healthy helping of irony. It's something else altogether to say it and use it as an excuse to avoid new adventures, have fun, or push you out of your comfort zone. Remember, you're not too old. The only thing worse than lying about how young you are is lying about how old you are. I didn't expect the traffic to be so crazy. Come on. If there's one thing traffic always is, it's crazy. You're saying you've lived on this big blue earth for 4 decades and still haven't learned this lesson? No. No one's buying that. Far better to fall back on the truth. I'm like 5 or so minutes away. Just remember, the or so is essential. My kid came down with something. Calling out of work sick is one thing. In fact, according to a poll, 40% of workers do it at least once a year, even if they're feeling totally fine. Once you pass 40, however, you might have a huge asset in your corner. Your kid. Just pin the sickness on them. Who's going to insist that, no, actually, little Jim doesn't have a tummy ache? I'm actually busy that night. Greasy takeout and Game of Thrones reunions counts as busy, right? Aw, your kids are adorable. It's simple math. Not every child can be the cutest kid ever. Of course. You'd never admit that to a parent, so you fall back on the world's wittiest lie. I'm almost done. When you're pushing up against a deadline and your boss is hounding you, just say the 3 little words. I'm almost done. Even if you're nowhere close, at the very least brought yourself some extra time. Better to turn in perfection a little bit late than hand in sloppiness right on time. It wasn't that expensive. You'll only hear this among couples who share finances. But if you've ever found yourself spending perhaps a little too much on a luxury good, or say some really nice clothes, or a designer handbag, or some nice new makeup, or some tech thing like a new phone or computer, you've also found yourself falling back on this lie. Be sure to hide the receipts. I've been meaning to watch that. Have you really? According to research by FX, the cable network, in 2018, there were nearly 500 scripted television shows on the air. Who can possibly keep up with all that? Spoiler alert, no one. You don't have to express interest in every single show on every single streaming service to be in the know. Just pick a few that you really, really like and go from there. It's been too long. Yes, it's a nice sentiment, but if the sentiment were true, you would have found the time to meet up. Don't worry. It's not all your fault. Relationships of all kinds are a two-way street. I love what you've done to the place. The fun part about turning 40 is that suddenly a lot of your friends vault the gap between renting a place and owning a place. I've got a couple of little ones at home. Sure, you're not lying about having kids. They just might no longer be little ones. Of course, there's no scientifically agreed upon definition of what age range little ones covers. My phone died. It's the I'll be there in 5 minutes of phone calls. We all know that's not true, but we've also all used it. and want to readily believe it when we've used it again in the future. I'd love to go to your show. If it starts after 10 p.m., has a 2-drink minimum, or requires a cab ride to a neighborhood so far away, you might as well break out your passport. You can bet that when the time comes, you're not making it. I'm allergic to some food you're not really allergic to or just dislike. As one server revealed in an interview, if you have a serious dislike for some particular food, that's fine. Tell us and we'll recommend something that doesn't contain that particular ingredient, or we might even be able to alter the menu item for you. Oh, it must have gone straight to spam. Maybe you innocently deleted the email without noticing, or maybe you just didn't really feel like answering at that very minute, and then you forgot to double back. Hey, we've all done it. Regardless of the hypersensitivity of the email spam, filters is quite a convenient scapegoat. I'm almost done, but I'm having computer issues. If there's one major benefit about being over 40, it's that everyone will find it easy to believe you don't know your way around a MacBook. I'm still recovering from the flu. According to Harvard Medical School, the flu lasts about 5 to 7 days. Even if you come down with the sickness, which is more common than you think, by the way, you only have 2 weeks max to use this lie. You haven't aged a day. Your over 40 peers may look terrific, but you know as well as anyone that nobody's mistaken them for a 19-year-old. And that line about how you still always get carded at bars? Yeah. Nobody's buying that either. I'm not dozing. I'm awake. Frustrating though it may be, it's particularly unheard of to have more energy over 40 than you did in your 20s. And yes, people do notice when you nod off during the movies and start to look sleepy when dinner runs past 9 p.m. I have read the terms and conditions. Scroll through 10,000 words of legalese that almost certainly doesn't mean anything at all. No thanks. My job is my passion. You've been at the gig for the better part of your adult life, and it certainly feels a little weird to admit now that you could genuinely take it or leave it. So you do what the same person would. You reframe the situation and tell everyone that truly data entry has always been your passion. I've just been really too busy. Maybe this is really the truth, but it certainly doesn't work for any and every situation. I'm going to work out more, starting next week. If it's not already a habit by now, it's not going to magically become one overnight. But hey, with hard work, it can. Honey, you look great. Every husband has said this to his partner at least once in his lifetime. Feelings are spared, and it avoids a night spent sleeping on the uncomfortable pullout. Everyone wins. Make sure to watch my next video, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss future content like this. Yeah, things are getting serious. Yeah. So most of your friends are in committed relationships or married, and it feels a little weird to still be the one swiping with abandon on dating apps. There's no reason to be embarrassed about still having more flings than a serious relationship. Marriage just isn't the next inevitable step in life because you're getting older. Wow, I haven't read that since high school. Catcher in the Rye or Mice and Men, The Great Gatsby, they're all classic books, and we're all supposed to know the plot beats in and out. When they pop up in conversation, which frankly happens more often than it should, it's more than natural to nod along like you totally understand. But admit it, did you really do the reading? Or did you do what all the other smart kids did and fake it your way through the quizzes and reading groups? I'm trying to watch less TV and read more books. Sure, pal. The reception is atrocious near my house. Hey, sometimes you just don't feel like answering a phone call. No shame. Polite laughter. Here's a rude move. Blank face staring someone in the eyes right after they tell you a joke. and saying, I get it, or worse, that wasn't funny. Here's a polite move. Laughing out loud anyway. I'm trying to spend less money. Keeping expenses down is a noble goal, but once you've passed 40, it becomes considerably more difficult. Healthcare costs only go up with age. Not that you needed science to tell you that. And if you throw a kid or two into the mix, there's no way life gets cheaper. I've got to go pick up my kids. It only works for parents, of course. But if you're ever in need or want a quick exit, this is the perfect line. The fact that band practice isn't over for another hour can be your little secret. I'll be right there. We've all sent this text. Here's the translation. I'm hopping in the shower right now. Sure, send me your resume. I'll pass it on. When you're fresh out of school, mine every last personal connection you have. Send out a copy of your resume to each of them and hope to all that is holy that it lands on the desk of someone important. When you're past 40, you're on the flip side, and you get a first-hand look that years ago, your mom's friend's brother might not have been as diligent in pushing your paperwork as you may have hoped. I'm training for a marathon. You can technically say you are training for a marathon, even if you don't ever actually run it. Right? Right, yes, we met at... Their face looks familiar, but you can't quite put a name on it or a memory about when you met. Hey, that's totally fine. And don't just take it from me. Take it from science. As one study in Nature Communications revealed, it's far more difficult to recall faces out of context. So if you've met a guy at a work function or two, then bumped into him at a coffee shop, and you totally went blank, don't beat yourself up over it. Sorry, officer, I don't know how fast I was going. Each year, according to the National Motorist Association, estimates more than 25 million speeding tickets are issued. By the time you pass 40, in years, not miles per hour, there's a good bet you've been one of those 25 million. And there's an equally good bet that you've dropped a line in an attempt to weasel your way out of a ticket. You've listed Microsoft Excel on your resume. Sure, maybe you've handed in a couple of projects completed with or through Microsoft Excel, but let's be real. The junior staffers input all the data for you. It's not anything to be ashamed of. According to one recent poll, nearly half of all workers admit to lying on their resume. The Porsche? I just bought it because I like it. No midlife crisis here. It happens to the best of us. Music that's objectively better when you're a kid. Maybe you like the music from your youth, but it doesn't mean it's actually better. The only thing it actually means is that you've lost touch with the music scene. When I was your age, I was scouted. No one's doubting your athletic abilities, but varsity captain doesn't necessarily mean you're a pro athlete. Teens these days have it way too easy. In a lot of ways, yes, life is easier for kids today. This says nothing about the amounts of pressure you're facing. Rising school costs, countless extracurricular activities, and the MO to bring home a 4.0 GPA. Oh, and then there's the social messiness of being a teenager. So I hope you've enjoyed this video of lies that people tell over 40. There's a couple of hilarious ones, and I'm sure you can relate to a few of them. So drop me a comment below and let me know which one you tend to use more often than others. Oh, okay, so it started pouring outside now. So this must mean we're done.